Hey, there we go. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It still doesn't look like the volume works very well, but look, can you hear me now? I did a video and it looks like it's working a little better. Can you hear me all right? Okay. All right. Good, good. All right. Well, it's been a long time since we did this, so I thought we'd talk maybe some. Yeah, I don't have any faith in the Nashville Predators right now. I said I'm sticking with what I said all the way through. Early on in the season, they were playing way too hard. They were fighting too much. They were fighting every game. They were making a statement, and that's cool. But they look done now. Like I don't think Nashville's going to beat anybody in the playoffs. They need more depth in their overall roster. They overplayed a lot too many of their guys, and the guys that did play, they like I said, they were in a battle every night. They were fighting everybody. So I think this was a statement year for them where you come into our barn, you're going to be hating life. And I think they're going to probably add players. Look for here's something. I think look for Evander Kane to be a Nashville Predator next year. That's my hot take. Pearlo hot take. Evander Kane is a Nashville Predator next year. But what did I have to do? I just redid my input capture. I don't think Florida's going to win it. I won't be surprised if Florida doesn't win it. Florida hasn't shown me they can play tight games yet. You can't play the way Florida's played all year in the playoffs. You can't. You just, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Maybe you can, but it's never happened before. Not since like 1980s. Yeah, Bobrovsky's not that great. Still, let's face it, he's not that great, man. And during the playoffs, goaltending even takes more of a precedent than it does now. If they play Tampa Bay, I think Tampa Bay wins that series. I maybe, I mean, Evander Kane's probably saying all the right things right now, but honestly, he's going to take the money. You think he's going to take a pay cut and be a nice guy because the Oilers gave him a shot? I don't believe it. If he does, he does. But he's going to have to. They're going to give him like $5 million for 3-4 years or something like that. And I see a guy like Poyle. If they watched him, you got to think the guy hadn't played in forever, and he's potting goals at about a 35 goal clip. What's he going to do next year when he's back in game shape again? You know, he could be a 40 goal scorer maybe. I could so see a guy like Poyle going, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 7 for 5 years or whatever. And do you think he's going to go, well, the Oilers were really nice to me, so I'm going to give up on $10 million a year when I'm just went through bankruptcy? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't even think I could do that. I mean, you could be as morality, or like it's the right thing to do. Really, you got a family and you're going to throw $10 million away because a guy gave you a chance? Did the Oilers really give you a chance? You don't think there was anybody else there that would have taken Kane and gave him a shot? Somebody would have. I mean, if it's a difference between like 6.5 or 7 million, yeah, I could see that. But if you're talking about like between 5 and 7 million and 2 more years term, yeah, I don't think so. You're not going to score four goals or more in the playoffs, man. You're not going to score four goals or more in the playoffs. How many times have we seen it over and over and over again? Highest scoring teams. Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, now I would say Bobrovsky may be better than Campbell, and I do love their depth, and I want them to win. I would love that style of game to win the cup. I would love it. That's the way the game should go as far as I'm concerned. The more they can make the rules towards that with lots of fighting, that's the way hockey should be. More fighting, more goals. That's what I like hockey. But it's just not. And that I've seen so far. And I haven't. Now, maybe all this time they've been working on a 1-1-3 trap and they're just going to pounce on people and surprise them with it. But until I see them be able to play to win 2-1, 3-1 games on a regular basis when their legs are super tired. If you've watched Florida all year, at the tail end of road trips, they lose on the road. Look at their road record. It's not that great. Because once you take the speed game away from Florida, they have a tough go. I'm just looking at odds. To me, the team with there's just hasn't shown in the past for there to be great odds that a team that plays like Florida wins a cup. It hasn't shown in the past. It hasn't been anybody that I can think of that plays like Florida does that can win a cup. He's just been average. He's been an average goaltender for them either. Yeah, I'm not betting Florida to win the cup. I'm rooting for Florida to win the cup, but I'm not betting Florida to win the cup. And I'm going to be really interested to see how this Colorado team all of a sudden wakes up and plays. I have a feeling they will. They're one of those freakish teams that can take it easy in the regular season and turn it on. I think. Um, I think the St. Louis Blues will beat the Minnesota Wild, as much as I hate to say that. I thought Fleury was going to be better than he was. But it takes time for a goaltender to adjust to his team, and it may not have been enough time. And St. Louis depth and the ability and size will wear down Minnesota in that series, I think. Now, if St. Louis does something crazy, I don't know. It goes with Binnington, maybe not, but. Yeah, that's true. They may play, that's true. There's going to be guys that play bigger roles in the playoffs. Sam Bennett will probably play a bigger role in the playoffs. Yeah. And those are guys that can wear guys down. I understand that. But it's the style of play I want to see. When teams start when you're playing a 7-game series, if you're going to come out against, who are they going to play right now? Washington, they're okay. They can probably beat Washington in 5 because Washington, there's not much chance Washington's going to be able to slow down the Florida Panthers. So they're probably fine with Washington. But if you go out against Tampa and you go balls out like they do for the first game, and try to play this offensive foray at a super high pace, that's how they win their games. They turn it on and they don't stop for 7 or 8 minutes straight, and then they phase out. And in the playoffs, I've seen it over and over again. By the time you get to the sixth or seventh game, you just don't have the legs anymore. And against a team like Tampa Bay, they're going to shut you down. They're going to have a hard time shutting Florida down. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be like, it's going to be a bitch trying to shut them down. But I think Tampa Bay would beat Florida if the two played against each other. Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So I haven't been around. My audio hasn't been working at all. It seems to be working fine now, though, so I'm glad. I was missing this. What else do we got? What series you want to talk about? Give me one out there. I'm, you know, we'll see. Mercer's pretty darn good hockey guy. And I've certainly been wrong before, but I've usually been incorrect on the opposite side of it. I usually have been incorrect by putting too much faith in teams that are offensively. It was just, but not too often though. That was the reason why I had Columbus beating Toronto the year they did. Yeah, I mean, goaltending wise, they got Florida all day long, and I mean their three lines can keep up with Florida's. But the thing is when Tampa Bay wants to shut you down, they can. They can shut you down. They probably won't be able to shut Florida down the first game. Maybe not even the second. I don't know. But by the time they get back home again, you know, Florida's going to know they got a war on their hands. And if it comes down to that, which it will, I think Tampa Bay wins the war early. Now, is that going to be the case all the way through? I'm most interested to see how Tampa Bay can hold up over, you know, a full playoffs this year after being basically, you know, they play a lot of playoff hockey the last 2 years, and then the short break, and now they got to put it all together again for another run here. I'm going to be interested to see what it's going to be like for them if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay's going to beat Toronto. It would be a big surprise to me if Toronto beats Tampa Bay. Switch goaltenders, maybe. You got to think. They put Point on Matthews' line. Point's one of the best shutdown centers in the league. And then the depth takes care of everything else after that. Like, you just got to Toronto. You really just have to shut down their top line in the playoffs. Still, Nylander's good, but I don't know if I would call him a playoff guy. Right now, they got to play him with Kampf and Pierre Engvall, which is probably not a bad idea. Nicholas Robertson, I've given him a shot for a couple of games. He's still not making it. Left wing, 20 years old. Like, once you shut down that Matthews, Marner, and whoever line, you play Nylander with Tavares. Excuse me. Tavares, yeah, but the rest of the lineup, I don't see them as playoff players. You got Perry and Maroon roughing you up all game long. What are the Leafs going to do with that? What are they going to do to wear down the Tampa Bay Lightning in a 7-game series? What are they going to do to wear down Nick Paul, Colton Ross, Killorn, Maroon, Perry, and that defense that they have? Well, if there's an underdog that makes it, I think it's probably the Rangers. If you want to call them an underdog, a lot of people wouldn't, but I mean they're a pretty green team on D. They don't have much playoff experience, but why did Montreal make it as far as they did? Price, that was his last hurrah. One of the greatest goaltending expositions we've seen in the playoffs, up there with like Wayne's not doing nothing, man. Wayne can't keep up to the play anymore. He's got to retire. Dude's doing nothing. His expected goals against is one of the worst in the league. Spezza will do the best he can. He's too old. Like that. Their bottom six is still the problem as far as I'm concerned, even more than their defense, which I don't. Their defense isn't all that bad, really. I mean, but when you compare it to Tampa Bay's, it's not even close. It would be if Toronto wins, Campbell's going to have to go on one of his streaks that he has gone on before, and Matthews is going to have to just be inhuman. He's going to have to, he's got to be hitting a high shooting percentage even for him. And Marner as well. Nylander's got to start grinding it out. I love the guy skill-wise, but if he can start grinding it out in the playoffs, then, maybe they got a chance. It's guys like that being able to give themselves up and play through pain and and put themselves in the position where they're going to be in pain. That's really what playoffs are all about, right? Which team is going to put themselves in a position to be in pain, to play with pain, and then be able to play with pain better than the other team. And goaltending. It's those two things. I think that's what the playoffs are really all about. And which team has the most players to bring the pain? He's pretty much washed up. I don't agree. I think he's about saying that he's not washed up like Yandel. I mean, Yandel was washed up 3 years ago. Yandel was washed up a long time ago. Simmons just got washed up, pretty much. This year and maybe even last year a little bit, but this year has been absolutely terrible. He's done. I'm just talking about whether you can make a case for any team, but the percentage of chance I give Toronto to beat Tampa Bay, if it is maybe 15% chance, I think that's the best way to do it. What's the percentage of chance? And 15% is still 15%. Vasilevsky craps the bed, I suppose. Maybe he gets injured. Like I said, Matthews, just everything he shoots goes in. The Oilers won't. I don't think the Oilers will beat the Flames either. No. Especially if they don't have Nurse. But apparently he should be back for the finals. But back for the playoffs, I mean. But if they don't have Nurse, there's no way. And but even then, the coach Woodcroft has been doing a really good job with the Oilers. in the sense that he has realized their weakness, and they're playing a great offensive possession game. Basically, everything is all about moving the puck fast and getting it out of the D zone as fast as possible. The way you beat Edmonton, who was it that they were playing? They won the game, but you want to play Edmonton in the D zone behind their own net. Everybody wants to believe that McDavid and Draisaitl, those kind of guys are going to make you win in the playoffs. But it's the team that's built around them. I don't see it. All Calgary has to do is dump and chase in behind the net. That's all you got to do to beat the Oilers. And once their legs wear down, they're done. They got nothing after that. The Oilers are great for against a rested team or as a rested team, but you got guys like Coleman and Lucic if he can catch up to anybody, but the way they play with their speed and grit, and that includes guys like Gaudreau. You got Matthew Tkachuk. I'll take. Would I take Matthew Tkachuk over Draisaitl? No, but I'll take Matthew Tkachuk over anybody other than Matthews or McDavid on the Oilers. And I'll take Gaudreau and the style that they play and the defense, their defense for sure. I'll take their defense over the Oilers' defense any day. And Markstrom as well. So, I mean, positionally, Calgary pretty much has him everywhere but center. The Oilers are going to have him up the middle. But if you can get the puck as much as you possible, like if I'm Calgary, if I'm in the offensive zone, I'm going to the back of the net as much as possible. I'm going to play from behind the net as much as possible. Because the Oilers are garbage behind the net. They don't have a single. Kulak might be the best, but besides that, they have nobody that can strip pucks behind the net. The last guy they had to do that was Larson, and that's the way you play in the playoffs. Get down low, beat the shit out of the opposition as much as you possibly can. And if Calgary does that against Edmonton's defense, by the fifth game, they're going to have nothing left. Nothing. So I say Calgary would win that series, Joe. I give the Oilers about maybe 25% chance of beating Calgary in the playoffs. The Blues versus the Wild, I think that's closer. I think the Wild have about 35 to 40% chance of beating the Blues, somewhere around there. Goaltending could be an issue. The Blues defense is pretty meh. But their top four lines will grind you down all the crap. Well, probably. The Oilers are going to have a hard time just against LA alone. Against LA, they got to hope Smith is playing at the top of his game because he's going to see a lot of rubber. And they're going to grind you down, man. Like, they don't have a big team, but they grind. They cycle and play a game that gets you chasing in the offensive zone. And the Oilers, our defense has a tendency to chase in the offensive zone. I wouldn't be surprised if the LA Kings beat the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, Um, I didn't put enough stock into the fact that, a goaltender going to a new organization is pretty tough. You got a new defensive system, new players playing in front of you that you're not used to. Uh, so you're not used to their tendencies and stuff like that. And I mean, I've talked about Marc-Andre Fleury quite a bit, and if I do believe that if Minnesota really had a chance at all in the playoffs, getting a guy like Fleury and crossing your fingers he can adapt quickly to your players and defense was the way to go. But I just think St. Louis will beat them down. St. Louis top six is too strong for Minnesota. And Minnesota doesn't play a down low grinding game, so you know they play a possession game in the offensive zone, and they're great at it. They're amazing at it. But I just don't think their overall player roster lends well to winning in the playoffs against a team like the Bruins. They could beat Toronto. They could beat maybe even Florida or Tampa Bay. Maybe. Nah, Tampa Bay. Yeah, maybe that's going a little bit. But I think it's just they pulled the wrong string there. I just think St. Louis, they don't match up well against St. Louis. I think Florida probably wins it tonight because they haven't clinched the President's Trophy, and I think that's really important to them. More than it would be to most organizations, because I mean that's an organization that haven't been able to give their fans much to be proud about, and I think it's really important for them to win the Presidents, for that whole organization to have something on the mantle. So I think for that reason that Florida probably wins that game. As long as Bobrovsky holds up and doesn't do what he does sometimes and just, I don't know, goes off into another planet. But as long as he holds up, I think they probably will win that game tonight. Yeah, I know. At this time of the season, it's not even really about lineups as much as as desire. I look for the teams that have the biggest reason to win the game. And I would say Florida has the biggest reason to win that game. I'll tell you what, I'll probably put something in. I think Florida gets up early. Florida's going to come out just barreling against Boston tonight. They're gonna come out. They want to. I think they're gonna want to take the crowd out of it right away. And what does Boston really have to play for here? Actually, I think that Boston would be better playing Carolina than Toronto. Or is that who it would be? Let me look up here. Boston right now would get Carolina. Right? Yeah. And they're not even going to catch Tampa Bay, I don't think. So they really don't have all that much to play for. They're pretty much set in playing against Carolina. And I think it's possible they could win that series against Carolina. As much as I've been talking a lot about Carolina this year, there's questionable injuries with Ranta and stuff like that, and Anderson, although he's back, apparently ready to play soon. Well, I don't know if you can call them a dark horse since they won their division, earlier on the season, I was saying Carolina was one of my the way Carolina plays. They play playoff hockey. That's the one big thing Carolina has. But the thing is they actually, I think Carolina would be better off against Toronto than Boston. Boston knows what to do in the playoffs. All of those guys know what to do in the playoffs. You got way more playoff experience with Boston than you do with Toronto. And then it's just whether Allmark can hold up in his first playoff foray. And, I mean, Anderson doesn't have that much playoff experience, so it would not shock me if Boston won the series against Carolina. It wouldn't shock me. Well, aren't they 3 points back right now? Boston, what are they? Oh, yeah. Boston's 3 points back at Tampa Bay. So, I mean, they got to win. They could, I guess. But, I mean, does it really matter? If Toronto and Tampa Bay lose all their games, yeah, sure. I mean, but what's the odds of that? No, Tampa Bay. And honestly, do you want to try that hard just so you can play Toronto instead of Carolina? Oh, I don't know what you meant by that. If Tampa and Toronto lose, Boston can. Yeah, I don't think. I don't know. I just don't think Boston. Boston's always got the Boston pride. So. And Marchand's been on a dry spell for like 11 games. Yeah. I don't even think they're there yet. Like about losing in the first round for 20 years or whatever the case may be. I think the problem mostly has been like if what does it matter if you lose in the first round or the whole thing is you win the cup. That's the way. The whole point is to win the cup. If I lose in the semifinals, it doesn't really matter. Uh, I suppose, but Toronto has never put a team together that looks like a playoff team. I think that's what I want to say. I still don't think Toronto looks like a playoff type team. Yeah, this is a regular season. I mean, I don't really put too much stock into how well a team did against in the regular season. I mean, I like to know what there's probably a couple teams that own Tampa Bay or in last year. I don't know if they played against each other, but I seriously, I don't even look at. I'm one of those people. I don't even look at regular season. What their record was in the regular season when I'm choosing who I think is going to win series. I don't even look at it because you're going to play a totally different way. Like Florida could own a lot of teams in the regular season because they play a regular season game. Toronto owns probably lots of teams because they play a regular season game. But is that going to translate into the playoffs? Something they need is Patrick Kane? I don't agree. Something they need is Brady Kachuk. That's what they need. A young Jonathan Taves. I don't know if he could be much good anymore, but Hyman that they let go to Edmonton would even be someone. But Kane is a defensive disaster. I know he's 12th in points this year. He's an offensive wizard, but it's almost got to the point where his defensive game doesn't even make up for it anymore. So I'd be great for the regular season. Then Toronto would even be a better regular season team if you did that. They would probably win the President's Trophy, but they probably wouldn't win a cup. When I don't know what I'd like to see what Kane would do in the playoffs now at his age. We haven't been able to see it for a while. But with the way he is now, I'd like to see what he would do in the playoffs now. That would be cool. I hope he goes to a team where we can watch him in the playoffs. I think Kane could be good for some teams that already have like Colorado. A team like Colorado. Colorado's top 6 forwards are probably the best top 6 two-way, even top all of them, are the best two-way forwards in the league. So you could have a guy like Kane on there, that would make sense. Because, oh well, you just put him with Kadri's going to be gone, so I don't know. I don't know who you put him with now, but you put him with some Nikishin and whoever they get for their second line center next year. Yeah, like even McKinnon is such an underrated defensive player, and Rantanen's a beast. So they could make up for Kane's cherry picking, floating, soft ass defense. They could make up for that, and his offense then would be more than enough to make up for his defense. Well, I don't think anybody's happy in Vegas this year, but it's pretty hard to have that much change and be able to be successful. So we'll see what happens next year. I don't know. You got to see what a full year with all of these guys together without injury and everything. I'm pretty sure they'll make the playoffs next year. But the Laner thing was always, there was always something in the back of my mind that, Laner was always like a loose cannon. I don't know. He is one different dude, man. You see him in interviews and stuff like that. Like he looks like he's out to fight every time you see him. He's right on the edge, man. I don't know how that works in the room or all that stuff like that, but I don't think it's that good. Hey, Lauren, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So it looks like you might have Anderson and back for the playoffs, eh? Probably just making sure. Yeah, I finally got the volume fixed on my computer. finally got the volume fixed on my computer. So it looks like Carolina, Boston. That's. I don't think Carolina rolled the dice very well there, but they should be able to expose Boston's D. That's going to be a really interesting series. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that went 7 games. I don't agree. I think St. Louis wins that. I hope, and if Fleury gets back to, it's if he can figure it out by then, because he's not used to the players he's playing with. I know, and he goes off, then yeah, they could win for sure. Oh, St. Louis's top 3 is their depth at forward is insane, and I give Minnesota maybe a slight edge defensively. But it's the top 9. They're going to wear down Minnesota pretty hard. Yeah, 10%, something like that. I mean, how can you trust Samsonov, really? Or, whichever one that they put in there. Yeah, Panthers will destroy the Caps. No, the Bruins are playing Carolina. No, we're talking about the series. We're talking about the playoffs, Bill. We're talking about the playoffs. That's what I said, 5, yeah. In order for Washington to win that series against Florida, they would have to somehow trap. They're not going to beat Florida in a. I don't see any other way they can beat Florida. Yeah, I would trust Vanacek more too, but can't say either one. Yeah, they're playing Samsonov a lot down the stretch. I think they're kind of hoping that one of their goaltenders gets hot, which they would definitely need to do because their defense isn't strong enough. Yeah, I know. They did it last year. They're doing it this year. Now they're turning it on, and they'll probably beat Columbus tonight, I think. And so is Colorado, too, which is probably smart. I don't know. I guess it's a new way of doing things now. But Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they look like they were like taking it easy, but in the last 10 games, they're giving her. Talking about that, I got to put something in here. Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I think Florida will do well in this game. Oh wait, who does Tampa play? Who's playing Detroit tonight? Columbus, Toronto. Yeah, the Lightning did take that one seriously for sure. Who was in who? You know, who was in net? Bobrovsky, right? There is a time. So the Lightning have won so many times that they know, like, oh, you play a team in the middle of like before the All Star break or whatever. You're not really sending a statement to anybody, you know. But you play a team just before the playoffs, and you go out there and tell them, "Yeah, we're coming, buddy. We're coming." Oh, okay. Knight started on that one. All right. I don't. I like the over on that game for that reason. I don't think Bobrovsky can make a. I mean, he can. Do I? Would I wouldn't bet on it, but I think Florida will outshoot Boston tonight. Will outscore Boston. I think Florida's going to pin it to the wall here against Boston tonight. I do. And that doesn't necessarily mean I think one team is better than the other. I think just in that spot after losing to Tampa the way they did, that they want. I think they want to solidify and get that. Make sure they get that President's Trophy tonight. Yeah, after losing to Tampa Bay like that, I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking at themselves and going, yeah, we can't lose to Boston tonight. No way, because you're going into the playoffs now. Tampa Bay knows, and this is where I have a problem with Colorado. And we'll see what they do against St. Louis. I got a little bit on St. Louis tonight. I'm not totally confident in it because maybe Colorado wants. This feels like a place where Colorado could turn it around tonight. But the last 10 games of the season, if you want to rest yourself up up until like the last 10 or 12 games, and then you want to crush everybody because you want it psychologically in the head of whoever you're going to play, especially a team like Florida. Like it's fresh in your mind. We crushed your ass, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again. Yeah, they were those games. They were waiting for those games. They were waiting for those games. If that like they did, I think they lost against Toronto, what 20 games ago or something like that. Tampa doesn't care about that. You're not going to remember that. It was 20 games ago before the playoffs. But just going into the playoffs, yeah, you aren't beating us. There's no freaking way. You're not beating us from now on. If you want to beat us just before the All Star break, okay, whatever. I don't care. Whatever. But now, no, it's not happening. You're not beating us. Campbell, yeah, I mean but I don't think Detroit's got enough in them to tonight. I don't think Detroit's got enough in them tonight. I don't have anything on that game though, because that's You're very right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Detroit without Larkin and uh, Detroit might get up early or something like that, but I think Toronto will try to win that game. Yeah, the team that they will probably face in the playoffs, exactly. They're not going to lose games like that are going to be fresh in the mind. That are going to be fresh in the mind of the opposition. You're in Nashville? Oh, are you going to the game tonight, Brian? I did think of yeah, I haven't put anything on that over yet, but I think I probably will at the end of the day. I was thinking of Detroit plus 2.5. I don't have enough faith in Nedeljkovic. I mean, Toronto could get out played and still win that game by 2 or 3. So you're going to the game tonight? We haven't even talked about that one. I think Calgary probably wins that game. Yeah, they're gonna have a tough one against Carolina, but I think they can beat Carolina just because of playoff experience and all that. I think they can beat Carolina. That's one where either one of them makes sense to me, because Carolina's the way when they're playing their system perfectly, they are so hard to beat. And if Anderson's on, they are very hard to beat. But Boston will turn it into a war. And I'm not sure that Carolina can play that. I'm not sure that Carolina can win a war. That's the reason why I like Boston is they're warriors. All of them. Marchand is a warrior. He goes out there to he goes out there to win the war. And he takes no prisoners and he has no friends on the opposition at all. He doesn't care what you think of him or whatever. He'll say, like, I love guys like that. What does Carolina have? Who does Carolina have that's that? They don't. Carolina is the quiet, don't let anything bother you, keep the system type team. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to play the system perfectly. I'm trying to think of the team. I think the Detroit Red Wings were sort of like that. I mean, but they had some guys. They had guys there that were there to win the war. I just think the Preds are out of gas, Brian. I was off the Preds ever since about a week and a half ago. I haven't taken the Preds one time, and because I've been saying all year that the way they played going into in the regular season, like a team like Nashville in 20 games ago could beat a team like Tampa Bay no problems, because Tampa Bay's not going to win the war with you. If you want to have a war with them 20 games ago, they're like, okay, whatever, we'll do the best we can to win, but we're not doing it because we're not, they're not killing themselves at that time. They know how to pace themselves throughout the season. Nashville did not pace themselves throughout the season. They were making it a war, making games a war every game, which is fun to watch, but they look dead now. And Calgary's sort of like the Carolina of the West. But they got guys that can win the war, like Matthew Tkachuk and stuff like that. So, And not only that, Sutter would have those guys in the summer. If you come into camp, you got to be. I think he basically says, I don't want the most fit guy. I want every guy to be the most fit and ready and prepared for a season that we can make a statement during the regular season and win a cup at the same time. Like, I wouldn't doubt that every one of those guys were in the best shape of their lives coming into the regular season. And Brind'Amour does that with Carolina players too. You want to play for Brind'Amour, you got to be in top athletic shape. I can't trust. I don't trust either team, but I think I trust Vegas less because of Logan Thompson. But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it. Dallas is getting plus money for sure. You got to take Dallas. I think more likely the over, which shouldn't be because it should be a tight game between two teams. But Logan Thompson has shown that he can't handle the pressure. That's really why I would take Dallas, because Logan Thomas doesn't seem to be able to take the pressure well. And I kind of had that feeling when he said in a presser once, yeah, I know I've had a difficult season. I've heard it from the media and everybody all the time. Kind of complaining about that. I mean, that should not even be in your mind. Both of them have been playing poorly. But I'd say Dallas has actually fought a little harder than Vegas. I think Vegas just doesn't have the team continuity. They don't know where each other are on the ice yet. I mean, they basically haven't had time to gel as a unit. So I'm leaning Dallas. Problem with Dallas is it seems Rick Bowness has them holding their sticks way too tight. He's got them all too riled up. Yeah, you told me that, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to be. Pro Joe, you've nailed just about every goaltender thing that I've ever remember. So I go with you on that. But uh, but right now he's just not. His headspace isn't there. Yeah, Carolina has their issues with goal too, though. Anderson was my main concern with Anderson is what's he going to do if Markstrom was always like that too. Markstrom, if he plays a long time, he tires out. And look at they're playing Vladar tonight. They've been playing Vladar a lot down the stretch. They're giving him all the rest in the world. So for the playoff run, because he has a tendency to wear down. And Anderson is the same way. Almost always, if you play him 30 games or whatever in the regular season, he gets an injury. Almost always. Yeah. He's got to mature a lot more. He's not the most graceful goaltender you've ever seen either, Thompson. So I think there's things that have to work out. I don't, you know, I like I said, I don't know. Like, he could end up being fantastic. There's some guys though that like you and I totally agreed with right from the get go. Was like guys like Ottinger. Like you just know those guys are going to be amazing goaltenders. About did you just post something on Facebook? Are you talking about? No, use that's. Only thing I see here is the Ranta. 4 months, yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of pushing the over. Um, I don't know why I think that's over because it shouldn't be. It's a tight. It should be a tight game where there's not much scoring. But I think Dallas shoots the puck a lot, and Thompson is not stopping the puck very well. So if one of them gets chasing, I think it's just going to go back and forth. I have a feeling that's what I have a feeling about with that game. Yeah, he's a pretty raw kid. I think Carolina's going to play pretty defensive tonight against the Rangers. I think that's going to be a defensive battle. I got the Rangers to win that one and under 1.5 first period. After that, Kochkov could let it go. I don't know. But Carolina has owned the Rangers in their barn, though, in the Rangers' barn. So well, if they manage to get Shane right, I'd be pretty happy with Slavkovsky too. That Slavkovsky kid looks like something else. He looks like he looks like at least like a Radulov, maybe even a Rantanen, but something like that. And since he's European, Europeans have a tendency to like Montreal quite a bit. Hey, Elliot, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Howard the Duck. Jeez. They need better defensemen and better goaltender. Although Smith has been playing well as of late. You want Slavkovsky the most? Yeah. Having a big 6'4" winger. When's the last time? It's been a while since Philadelphia's had a guy like Slavkovsky, for sure. If not him, Nemec, one of the two. Oh, can the Canes clinch tonight? Eek. Maybe I don't like that Rangers pick as much as I thought. They're resting their hopes up that Smith can keep on doing what he's been doing the last couple games here for a playoff series at 40 years old, which would be freaking awesome if he could. Not just because I'm an Oilers fan, just because that would be an amazing human accomplishment. But I got Rangers first period under. I don't agree with you with Nashville, but I don't have anything on that game. I just think Nashville's beat. I think they're done. I do like Dallas though. I can't trust Vegas worth the darn. Thompson I can't trust. I do have Dallas. San Jose. San Jose in regulation. San Jose minus 1.5. Ottawa. Ottawa money line. Oh, you gotta have Ottawa and San Jose, man. Ottawa's gonna absolutely destroy New Jersey. I didn't know. I would have had Detroit the last game. Apparently they had a flu going through the whole team. I don't think they're over that. And now they got to go on the road, and they got a flu going through the whole team. And they're going up against an Ottawa team that takes no prisoners as far as violence and physicality is concerned. Yeah, and you're putting Blackwood in, who hasn't played a game in how long? Like, yeah, to me that's easy. And Ottawa Forsberg is so underrated this year. Sharks tonight, yeah. Yeah, oh no, that's the thing. That Kochkov kid, he, yeah, well, it's not just in the AHL, but every league he's been in, he's put in spectacular numbers. I don't know why I never noticed it before. Oh, yeah, the Ducks are so done. I had the Ducks plus 1.5 first period, but I also had them plus 1.5 for the whole game, which didn't work out too well. I had plus point five first period on the Ducks that game. But, and then I put a live in on St. Louis, on the over 7. I put a live on over 7. And I had San Jose against Vegas. I'm not taking Vegas in any game right now. Yeah, Ottawa for sure. Ottawa at home. I mean, this time of year I look at teams that play with pride, that have pride. I'm telling you right, on my personally, I'm a big fan of that Ottawa team and what it's turning into. I'm going to be rooting a lot for Ottawa. I love teams that make a statement like they do to the league, and I love teams like that. New Jersey, I just don't. I mean, I think there's some heart there, but not enough heart to beat Ottawa tonight. I don't think. Oh yeah, I don't really blame them there. I guess it's hard to play guys that aren't going to stick around because those guys that are going to stay, Caps today. I'm leaning the Caps. Sorokin could go nuts. No Ovechkin. I don't really like the game at all. I got. I think the Islanders are just too tired. I think Washington will probably win that game. I think the Islanders are just. They got too many old coots playing in their second line. But they got Pajot back. I don't know if they got Beauvillier back. Their lineup looks a lot stronger than it did the last couple games as far as who's in the lineup right now. I haven't put anything on that game. Yeah, they got Pajot back. I mean, that helps a lot. But they've been just getting spanked, right? I thought Washington would do the thing that has me going is when Ovechkin went out last game. Oh, and Washington owns them at home, right? 0-5 in their last. They're 0-5 in their last 5 against Washington. Yeah, I'll probably put a little bit on Washington just for the trends. The Islanders are going into a Washington team that psychologically they can't beat, and I don't think they're feeling that great about themselves. So Washington will probably, I'd probably go with Washington, yeah. Yeah, he got there eventually. I just didn't agree. I didn't think he was gonna like blow everybody out of the water the first season. Pot Colson. I didn't think. I think he's like a 65 point guy, but you gotta love the way he plays. He's pretty brave. Pod Colson's a brave kid. I say Washington, but are they? They're putting Samsonov in too, right? So everything's been trending to the over with the Islanders, which is weird. I think that's pretty probable. Washington, what? They were bagged out when they played Arizona. That was the first game back off of a long road trip against Toronto. What was that? 2 days ago? They played a shit ton of hockey, I guess. And the Islanders are 3 games in 4. Oh, the Islanders are playing 4 games in 6. And they just got pummeled by the Rangers, Buffalo, Carolina. And that was with Sorokin in too, so. Yeah, I think I'll throw a little bit on the Caps there. Christine Gagnon, how you doing? Welcome in, my friend. Welcome in. Oh, I forgot all about that. Are you talking about like the World Cup or whatever? No, that can't be yet because that doesn't happen until after the playoffs. Yeah, Getzlaf's done. Men's under 18. So what other big games are there? Vancouver, Seattle. That one, it feels like Vancouver could be just like so pooped out here. It feels like Seattle, but I mean, it's. I think I know. I don't think I'm touching that game. I think Edmonton might beat Pittsburgh. I just hate the fact that Nurse is not in the lineup. Men's under 18. They're under 18. Well, Chara's probably. I think Chara's probably done now. I think that's it. I could be wrong, but I think he's probably done. What do you guys think with the Rangers in Pittsburgh? Probably the Rangers, eh? It looks like it's going to be the Rangers in Pittsburgh. Not necessarily, though, right? Oh, yeah. What am I thinking about? Washington could still beat Pittsburgh. Could take Pittsburgh's spot and play the Rangers instead. I didn't even realize that. Oh, yeah. Washington tonight for sure. You got to take Washington tonight. I wonder. Maybe my Edmonton pick isn't very good here. Because if I'm Washington, I would really, really, really not want to play Florida. Much better chance against the Rangers. Yeah, I'm going to put Capitals over. The only thing is the Islanders. I think Capitals are giving up a lot of juice on that game. Aren't they? Yeah, jeez. I like the Capitals, but do I like them in reg? I think I'm just going to go money line for a 2. But I mean, Washington's got way more to play for, but it's not so much to play for that they're going to play tight. So with Samsonov in, I definitely could say I like the over in that game. No one's shaking hands with Chara. I mean, I guess that's a compliment, really. Yeah, I mean, Florida's going to have a more difficult time with the Panthers. But with this Smith and net. But then, yeah, I mean, You got Bobrovsky in that. That's the thing. The whole thing about it is Bobrovsky could just implode in the playoffs. We don't know. We don't know. He hasn't given me enough confidence in the past 2-3 years to say, oh yeah, we're going to be fine with Bobrovsky this year. Now, the thing is you got Smith there too, so probably you got to really go with Florida. Florida being able to take shots like they can against Smith. But the Pens, I have more confidence in them in playing a shutdown defense against Florida. I just think the levee will probably break with them trying to do that against Florida. So I think Washington should want to win that game pretty bad. Islanders are pretty defeated. The only reason why Islanders win, I think, is that Sorokin just goes off. And that is possible, but... The Penguins, Florida would be an interesting series. The Penguins could actually, if Crosby and Malkin are full bore, they could actually compete with them up the middle a bit. Wingers, no. Defensemen, probably a little bit over the Florida side. Goaltender, a wash. That would be interesting. And playoff experience goes to Pittsburgh pretty much across the board. If Pittsburgh plays Florida, I'm almost tempted to say Pittsburgh wins that. The only thing is the depth on Pittsburgh is... If there's going to be an upset, I would say that could be it right there. Doesn't Raquel have a cup too? Or was he not there when they... Oh, no, he wasn't there when they won those. Zucker, Carter. Carter's got cups. It's just Casey DeSmith. That's the problem. Yeah, I think goaltending would be ultimately Florida would end up winning that. But I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. If he's back. If he's back. That would be the thing there. If Jari's back. Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll be okay next year once everybody's gelling and stuff like that. It's not a very strong division, and probably won't be next year either. So I think they'll be okay next year. But I think I better head her. Yeah, I got to get ready. I got to go pick up Caroline and stuff. But it was nice getting on here again and talking to all y'all. I'll try to be on again. I should be on tomorrow. I think, yeah, I should be on tomorrow. So I picked up, so I did some picks. I'm going to see if I can do another video tomorrow too. The final video of my free agency videos. And then I got to think of another thing to do. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.